Sometimes there's absolutely no difference at all between salvation and damnation. Welcome back to Bizarre Podcast, Dogs Must Die. My name is Grant. You could call him Chip. And today we are talking about episodes 16 through 18 of JoJo's Bizarre Adventure Stone Ocean.
So last time I kind of joked about, man, wouldn't it be weird if JoJo did a tournament arc? Well, we're kind of in that, sort of.
Yeah.
Probably the closest, well, I can't exactly say that. There is kind of a tournament arc in a later part of JoJo, but it's not what you usually expect from that. But it's might be more of a race than anything. But yeah, it's time for kind of just a whole lot of fights in a row with no rest in between.
A lot of fights. The winners of those fights square off with each other in the same location. We can kind of call it a tournament arc. I don't think anybody's going to get mad.
So we're starting off with episode 16, The Secret of Guard Westwood. And we get a bit of a recap from, the previous episodes. So again, reminding us of Dio's butt bone.
And Dio describing the abilities of Survivor. Very important.
Yep. And so, yes, Jolene is in the very long name that I still can't remember the name of, Discipline Ward.
I'm not going back to last week's notes to grab it. It's not.
No. Everyone getting pissed off due to the powers of Survivor and the prison guard Westwood killing the other guard that I cannot remember the name of right now.
Liquor,
that's right, Liquor.
His first name is Rubber Buns. But after all the important recap, we get to the OP, and then back in the action, Jolene is getting all revved up to beat up that stand user. Oh no, she's been Survivored. Oh no. But can Survivor stand against the power of emotional honesty?
Like, honestly, for being under the influence of Survivor, Jolene's thoughts aren't that bad, and were probably kind of justified. Because all of her thoughts are just
that's how it starts. It's also where it ends. Like, she's really in control of herself.
Yeah, it's just, I really want to kick that guy's ass and tear his stupid fucking head off. And that's about where it ends. She just thinks that to herself, and then she catches herself and thinks, what? That don't sound like me. And then we go on with the fight.
Yeah, the big question here regarding Survivor's effect on Jolene Cujo is whether a battle teen can be trusted to know the difference between magic rage and fighting spirit.
Yeah. So, a whole bunch of other prisoners have been let out. We have multiple stand users in here somewhere. We've got more special-looking dudes than we have stand users, which is very strange. Yes,
it is.
And then Jolene does the first of many cool and unique fighting stances.
Yes. She's been taking classes. I don't know where, but she's been taking them.
This happens multiple times throughout this fight, where she will just, compose herself by taking a new fighting stance. And every time she does it, there's a whip cracking sound, which is pretty dope.
So Westwood rushes her, and then she brings out Stone Free to punish him for doing that. He is a guy with no stand. He is just a big burly man. But he dodges this by running up and around the doorway arch like Sonic the goddamn Hedgehog.
It's so Looney Tunes. It's so much funnier to see when it's animated, especially just because the quickness of it. And the way that he somehow vanishes after doing that for a second, I really wanted to have just dubbed over that, just him going, woo!
So, this is a goddamn fight of all the fights, right?
Oh, yeah.
Up until a certain moment, they're just exchanging blows or trying and failing to land blows. Like when Westwood jumps up for a flying leap that Jolene dodges and then ties his leg to his face, breaking it very badly.
Oh, yeah.
But he punches her in the gut anyway while they are close to one another.
This continues what we saw at the very end of the previous episode, where Westwood is talking about seeing everyone's glorious muscle groups, their most dominant muscle groups, and you can see them overlaid on top of the people. They're sparkling and golden. He starts referring to these as points of power. It seems that everyone under the effect of Survivor can actually see this, because eventually we're going to see Jolene seeing this dude's muscles and going like, okay, I actually did fuck that guy up because his muscles are all black and icky looking now.
Yeah, yeah. But he can use this survivor vision to even see her strings.
Yep.
Which is interesting. So they continue to try to fight each other, and Jolene says to herself, no normal humans are capable of these moves.
Yeah.
When's the last time you saw a normal human? The judge? Because it's been a while.
Yeah, I think the judge, actually. Even your friends aren't normal. Like, they're some of the
They're
weirdest.
the least normal people.
Yeah. She's constantly pushing Westwood back. She's like kicking him in the leg and making it bend the wrong way. He's going in for like big punches to crush her head in. And like there's a shot, like she's just constantly restraining him with the string, like wraps him around his arms to keep them in place and like starts choking him. Big kick rush to the face that she's doing herself and not her stand.
Yes. And meanwhile, everyone is pairing off for beatings.
Yeah. And Jolene goes in for like the final punch to take this guy out, and then suddenly Stonefree's like bicep explodes.
Yes.
It
yes.
just blows up.
That's bad. We don't want that to happen. But she manages to still beat this dude's ass because, yes, she has tied each of his fists to his neck.
Yeah. Yeah.
She's just hog-tying this guy in new and creative ways. And a disc gently ejects from the side of Westwood's head. And Jolene takes long enough to try to figure out what this means for her in the situation that she's in, that it slides back in and he wakes up.
Yeah. Should yoink that
You
thing
gotta
out right away.
capitalize. Come on. Coup de grace. Let's go.
You gotta yoink that thing out and take it to the shrine and see what monster comes out of it.
Oh, we're gonna see. We're gonna see what sort of monster's in there. But Jolene prepares herself for yet another round. She stitches her gaping wound on her arm closed and does this super wide crouch stance.
Yeah. It's a weird one, but I like it. Was there instructional manuals on various martial arts techniques, like in that library or something? They don't have fiction in there.
They've got everything.
I guess so.
So they do some more actual fight choreography. It's good. It's fun.
Yeah.
And when Jolene pops this dude in the jaw, a second head pops out. Some sort of red colored humanoid stand is within Westwood. And Jolene's like, oh shit, what the fuck is happening here?
Because, yeah, like even Westwood himself seems to have no idea what stands are or anything, but he's got one. It's the White Saint just shoved a disc in him and told him jack shit.
So he comes back for more because he has to. Survivor is live. And that's when Jolene like makes a thread shield.
Yeah, it's not like she just makes a single thread that dangles all the way to the ground. She like steps on it to make it taut. And yeah, she just uses a single thread, and while, obviously explaining this out loud while it happens, like just uses that string to just deftly like deflect his punch into a different direction, which is cool.
And then she handcuffs him with the thread, and once they are attached to one another, she flips the coat that she is wearing off and like down her arms onto his arms to cover his face, so he's blinded like a hockey fight. And she fucking goes to work until her thigh explodes.
Yeah. She's got multiple points in this fight where she probably could have ended him right there if it just wasn't for her dang limbs exploding.
Ain't that always the way?
Yeah. At this point, she's just like panicking a bit, trying to think, okay, what the fuck does this stand do? While she falls to the ground because her thigh just exploded, Westwood comes up and gets her like in a wrestling chokehold.
Yeah, this is professional wrestling now. Like they're trading off momentum. Each one's hitting their spots, and then there's it's all about like grappling and submission holds from here on out. And Westwood talks about how much he hates all inmates and is so glad that he has a job that gets him to like abuse his power above them. Who would have thought guys like this would be attracted to a job where where you can do just that? Huh?
Whoa,
Wow.
crazy.
Weird. So we see this red stand again,
Mm-hmm.
and it's just pointing up into the sky at two small holes in the ceiling. The detention wing is lit as much as it is lit by a big, massive glass ceiling above.
Yeah.
And this is all the hint Jolene needs to figure out this stand's power, which she does not share with us. She's just like, aha, I see, I understand.
Mm-hmm.
And she also knows that she's fucking screwed.
Yeah. She's trying to do anything she can to get out of this hold. He's like transferred into a different hold where like that's all on her neck, lying her flat against the ground with all of his weight on her. And so she can't reach like with any of her punches. So instead she shoots out thread from her finger and burrows it into his ear, destroying his eardrum. And it goes so deep, it comes out his tear ducts in his nose.
Yes, it's all connected in there. There's a root.
Yeah,
you're not gonna like it, but there is.
I don't
a
like
root.
it. Like, seeing that in a panel and then seeing it animated is different because it's just a lot more visceral. Seeing it happen in motion, and so like even though I knew it was coming, seeing it happen when I was watching it earlier this week, I was watching it with Jess, and we just both like went ah.
But what is a professional wrestling match without the announcers? That's right, the narrator is back.
Oh yeah, it's been a while,
And he's here to give us an astronomy lesson. It's time to talk about meteors.
Mm-hmm.
Because there are two flaming meteors that crash through the ceiling, headed straight for Jolene, reflected in an extreme close-up of her eye. And that brings us to the meta-episode title card, which reveals the stand, Planet Waves.
Yeah.
Known in the dub as Starlight Waves. Never actually named. Like, it's only here that you see that name. This is named for the 1974 Bob Dylan album, Planet Waves, the one that has Forever Young on it twice.
Right.
Two different versions. One ends side A, the other begins side B. Just pick one, Bob. Just pick one.
So I like Planet Waves design. I think this one's pretty cool. Like there's been a lot of humanoid stands recently, but this one, yes, humanoid. Just imagine you had a guy and then all of his skin disappeared. That's the stand. The stand is just made out of bands of muscle.
It's very like back to basics, and it works. Like he's on top of that, he has little yellow highlights. He's got like hexagonal, like emerald shaped yellow knee pads, yellow ankle guards, yellow elbow guards, and the yellow knuckles. But the head is the only thing that's like, we're gonna do something with this, you know?
Yeah.
Because you barely see this guy. Not a lot of deedly bobs all over him like some stands, but there's, I guess, a pipe. How would you describe this structure that emerges from the center of the forehead and then goes off, cocked to the one side?
Yeah, I'd kind of describe it as a pipe.
Mm-hmm.
It is as if its forehead is being fed some sort of juice or something via this pipe that is like very much like almost flush against its head, but it kind of goes up and curves to one side. Is it supposed to kind of make it like it's got little two little extra like valves coming off it? Is it supposed to make its head look like a heart? I think that's what it is.
I was going to say it looks like the vein coming into the heart from the lower body wrapped around. Yeah.
And yeah, it's got like the Hierophant green style like eyes. And that's about it, but it's a very basic but cool design, I think.
Originally known in the manga as Earth, Wind, and Fire.
Yeah.
Written differently than Miki Taka's Earth, Wind, and Fire. And then they were like, okay.
Yeah.
Totally separate names, probably the way to go on this one.
Mm-hmm. So yes, after the title card, we see Anasui making their way to the disciplinary wing. They've knocked out a prison guard. They're scanning his eyeball to get through stuff. So he's like implanting his stands arms into the walls so that he can use them as like climbing points to grab
yes.
onto. And
yes,
then, like,
this is fun. I like that.
and like grabs one of the arms, and the arm just slides across the wall and drags him along with it. Yeah, it's neat.
And then Foo Fighters follows behind, doing their finger guns to black out the cameras with their pond gunk.
Mm-hmm.
It's one of my favorite, like, I don't know, tropes in like team up stories where you have two experts each using their own separate things to infiltrate side by side. It's good. It's good.
Yeah, it's cool. She's also, got a big cup to drink from, which just says "Larg."
And they predict that there are minimum 3 stand users lying in wait, which Anazui seems to not have considered.
Yeah.
He's much more concerned with his payment for the job, which is a life of marital bliss. Mm-hmm. And Foo Fighters does indeed confirm they do not know what a married is.
Yeah.
And just shouts out to him, "Enlighten me."
Yeah, yeah. It's good.
We missed something important while we cut back to Westwood about the different wrestle grapple moments. Mm-hmm. Him bragging about how there's only one weak point in the hold he's got Jolene in, and then naming it, which is his balls are exposed to counterattack.
Yeah.
And as she reaches to pluck those plums, he jumps both of them into the air so he can rotate his lower body away and frog splash her down.
Yeah.
Into an evolved and more perfect form of the same hold. And that's when she laces his faces.
Yeah. All that dialogue coming from Westwood with the knowledge of it just being Barrett from Final Fantasy VII Remake was made me very happy. I would have realized it on my own by this episode because there's a lot more shouting, and that's when he sounds a lot more like Barrett.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. But also when he talks about how his balls are exposed to a grasping attack, he says, quote, "Under different circumstances, I'd be psyched about that, though."
Yeah. We're
learning a lot about Mr. Westwood here today.
Yeah, it's more than we need to know, honestly.
So yeah, she does grab the string that's coming in and out of his face meat.
Yep.
And tugs on it so that he releases his grip. But even though she's free, Jolene takes a meteor to the ribs.
Yeah, it's not great. The way it's animated, it makes it look like that meteor just destroys her ribs, and then it's just where her stomach is now. Like it just lives there.
Yeah. While the other one, there were 2 coming after all, is still headed straight for Mr. Westwood, but it fizzles out to harmless dust before hitting him. So he goes in for another submission hold. This one has Jolene like across his legs for his lower body. So she threads a thread into his boot. Yeah?
God,
yeah.
This one also made me yell just seeing it in action.
And it gets under his toenail, and you know those like wire cheese slicers?
Uh-huh.
There goes his toenail, and also the skin of his foot along with it.
Yeah,
it becomes a pull tab, like opening up a can of cat food.
Yeah. Like, you see it happen, like, in the animation. They don't cut away from it, but they do color shift it so hard. like it goes from normal colors to, like, red, green, and blue to the point where, like, it makes it a little less bad, but you're still seeing a toenail get ripped off and take all the skin off the foot with it. Yeah. Oh, it's bad.
It's like fruit by the foot, but it's foot by the foot.
What Jolene has been doing here with her thread is really nasty and hyper violent, but also I do enjoy it just for being incredibly creative uses of using her thread.
Yeah. We've seen it do sutures, but now it's doing surgery.
Mm-hmm.
But Westwood's still got this stand, this muscle freak stand, who has summoned three more meteors coming down. Maybe we're in August. This is the Perseid meteor shower happening right now. I don't know.
Yeah.
Stonefree punches 3 meteors away before they impact Jolene, but it explodes like the stand and user's knuckles and hands, just leaving broken, bloody mess. It's gross.
Yep.
And what can she do after all this but square up and strike another fighting pose?
Yeah,
God damn.
it's great.
That's JoJo. That's my JoJo.
This is where, Jolene is thinking about the mechanics of his stand more. It basically just is the stand is constantly drawing meteors toward its own user and people around it, and it will never hurt him. They just always fizzle out before they can hit him.
So a very dangerous stand for a grappler to use.
Yeah.
And he's bragging about his ultimate dominance, of course, but of course, and Jolene is not paying attention to that. She's looking over at a weird little guy off to the left.
There's a weird little guy off to the left who's poking something on the ground. That something is Dio's bone.
He got a bone. He's got a bone to poke. But Westwood's got her. He's not letting her go. And as she hides inside one of the cells to like collect herself and plan out her next move, meteors crash into the brick wall of the cell and shatter the wall she's up against.
Yeah.
And he kicks Jolene across the jaw.
Yeah. As she's falling down from that kick to the jaw, like her eyes have rolled up into her head, like she's about to like black out, but she's still thinking about how to kill this guy at the same time. And then her like eyes just snap back into place, and she's just like, "Oh, I know how to get this fucker." And so she
starts thinking poetically about like. No, Bob Dylan notes. Where did I go? One prisoner sees the wall, and the other sees the stars through the bars. Which one am I? Well, we know which one you are. You're the one who sees the moon through the bars and gets an overwhelming urge to jerk it. That's which one you are. How's that bet going, by the way?
There's just something about the moon, man. Love it.
There's just something about the Moon Man from the MTV channel ident. Looking fine. So she gets kick after kick in the face as she is bent over backwards over this broken wall like a sacrificial altar as one last meteor strikes down at her.
Mm-hmm. Like she's thinking to herself, like, I have no other way to defend myself with Stone Ocean and all that. But, oh, wait a minute, got your boot. I got your boot. Because like, you could see earlier in the fight, when he's kicking her, she's trying to grab his boot a couple times, and she like puts thread around it before she gets kicked off the boot again. And yes, during all those kicks, she pulled off one of his boots.
This is very professional wrestling. This is just like someone desperately fighting off attacks, and every time they get a moment, they unlace like the cover on the turnbuckle, and then they get their ass beat for another 2 minutes. But then they get like 10 seconds to unlace it more, and it's coming.
Mm-hmm. And so this meteor flying towards her from behind, just as it's about to strike her, she holds up the boot like behind her back to grab the meteor, like it's going into the leg of the boot. She's also packed it full of bricks from the broken wall. Yes. And so while the meteor might fizzle out, the momentum of the boot being dragged along by the meteor won't, and so it just becomes a boot missile that hits a flaming boot missile.
Brick-laden boot missile that strikes him in the face, sets his face on fire, and then Jolene tells him to, quote, stop being such a drama queen.
and so she doesn't do a punch rush, rather Stone Free grabs his arm as he goes in for a punch to deflect it, and then headbutts him.
Well, because her hands are destroyed, she can't punch.
That's true. Her hands are all fucked up now.
So yeah, he gets headbutted down the stairs. There's a stairway in the center of the room. That's going to be important later. Okay. But he falls, what we later learn seems like 3 stories down.
Yep.
And he uses all that time to think about the power of determination.
Oh man, determinazione.
oh man, that is truly Jolene's greatest power, as Stone Free is dispersed, but doesn't just float away. No, unravels into a string that reels through into Jolene through the star birthmark. Mm-hmm. And the last few inches fold themselves into another star before they go in. And she like points to the ceiling.
Yeah.
And gives a victory quote.
Yeah. What did she, is it just game, set, match or something like that? Yeah.
Yes. But like, this is the JoJo that was foretold. This is the JoJo of prophecy.
Uh-huh.
Stars upon stars. Do you get it? This is the apex JoJo.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
Oh, it's so good.
It kicks ass.
So that is episode 16, which brings us to episode 17, Enter the Dragon's Dream.
Oh, boy.
We all read Ender's Game as a kid. We know about the Dragon's Dream. Mm-hmm. Anyway, so the recap to kick this one off is just everybody's after the bone. That's the important thing. So after the fight, Jolene is real fucked up, but she's still focused on where is that little guy.
It verbatim says, "Where is that little guy?"
And as she surveys the area around her, she sees a whole lot of dead people, most of them swollen to manatee size.
Uh-huh.
And wonders how many stand users are in this place.
One of the guys we saw revealed earlier, who looks like a very buff Giacchio from part 5, absurdly buff, appears behind her, ready to choke her out. But before he can grab her, he also swells up to manatee size and dies.
And as he falls, he reveals two figures behind him that we've seen before. This sort of centurion-looking dude.
Yeah.
And the tiny wizard.
A small, old elven wizard man, yes.
This is Gray Yoda, is what this is. Mm-hmm. And this tiny wizard he walks blurry. He has a blurry walk.
So basically he walks like an anime vampire or a fighting game character where he leaves after images of himself when he walks.
And hyper flexible joints as he begins to do his stretches before facing down with Jolene. Like he bends his fingers back and like, I'm sure you knew like a double jointed kid in middle school who's like, oh, look what I can do. But he got nothing on this guy. None of your double jointed middle school friends got anything on this guy.
This dude could fold his hand over itself like 4 times probably.
It's fucked up. It's fucked up. He's a cards on the table kind of tiny Yoda. He mentions he's one of 4 stand users sent there by Whitesnake. And he's like, I mean, when Whitesnake sent 4 after you, I thought that seems like overkill. 4 for one? But now, after seeing that past fight, he's like, yeah, this is necessary. It's going to take 4. But really, it's only going to take me. I, Kenzo, 78 years old. I drink my own pee and you can't stop me.
This doesn't get mentioned once, but like 3 or 4 times.
Yes!
That this man is so spry and youthful, like body-wise, for his age because of urine therapy. Mm-hmm. And I cannot believe you can Google JoJo urine therapy and get relevant hits from this.
At least one person who talks about it is very dismissive and thinks it is bunk.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm not saying that this is pro urine therapy, but this man drink his own pee.
And he likes it. He loves it. He credits it with his success.
Yeah.
I mean, he credits a lot of things for his success. Some of them seem a little more likely than others. But let's talk about Kenzo here. Kenzo is spelled Kenzou. He's named for the Paris-owned fashion house Kenzo, Kenzo. Yep. Both of his voice actors that I'm going to talk about in actor notes today are just the guy that plays all the old guys because they are both themselves old guys. That's how it goes.
The instant this guy said like a single word, it's like, oh, it's that guy I've been hearing in anime since like 1999.
Yeah.
I think I heard him first in Big O.
He is Gordon Rosewater, the mysterious tomato man in Big O. Yes. He's also the mysterious old man in Paranoia Agent. But like, yeah, if you're thinking of an old guy in an English dub, it's probably this guy.
People probably If they've heard him in anything, it's going to be as the old guy in Ghost in the Shell, standalone complex or whatever.
While his Japanese voice, because again, he's a lot of the old dudes. I'm going to move toward non-anime to talk about him, like Sigma from Mega Man X.
Oh shit! Okay.
Hot Coldman is in the house today.
Oh man.
And a regular dubber for Patrick Stewart and Ben Kingsley.
Oh wow.
But not Ben Kingsley's, like, serious work. Like, not Gandhi, as far as I saw. Ben Kingsley's goofy shit.
Okay.
So, Jolene is here to trash talk this evil gray Yoda. Grota, I will call him. And she starts by demonstrating a world traveler's understanding of rude gestures.
It's, again, another thing I've wanted to see animated for a long time. Very iconic set of panels from part 6. Yeah, she flips, just gives him the birds. She's like, okay, I can do
double birds. Left and right, baby.
Yeah, I can do American style. Or and then she, puts her hand flat underneath her chin. So like French style. Japanese style, pulling, the index finger up under the eye and kind of pulling the lower lid down a bit. All around the world, there's a finger that says, fuck you, she says.
It's so good.
It kicks ass.
I don't know how accurate it is, but I really appreciate the effort.
Yeah, it kicks ass, that part.
And right into the like kick drum of the OP. Damn, that's a good cut. So this guy's power is that he can extremely drown people. At least that's what it seems like until you learn what his power really is.
So, okay. This power he's doing is not a stand power. This is simply just something he knows how to do. He can cram his hand down somebody's throat with a little bit of water on his hand or something, and that convinces people that they're drowning, and so they drown.
It convinces them so hard, they get like 50 gallons of water inside them.
It is insane.
From nowhere.
Also just describing the look of this guy a little bit more. Little old man, skin tight against his ribs. Got a little purple cap on with like braided gray hair in the back. That's the only hair he's got. And he's just in like a full little purple jumpsuit of sorts with little spikes on the tips of his feet.
But the man knows how to accessorize. He's got himself a big beaded necklace that seems pretty important to him.
Mm-hmm. But Kenzo takes a step back and says, okay, Jolene, you aren't my first opponent, though. And he taps one of the bloated corpses with his foot, which causes FF to eject out of the body because she was hiding inside of it.
She herself does a fucking Sonic the Hedgehog move, does a mid-air spin dash, and fires on Kenzo before they land back on the ground.
And all of her shots are like going dead towards Kenzo, but they're all absorbed by one of the bloated corpses rolling in the way of him and taking the shots.
Meanwhile, Anazui slowly climbs the stairs, and Jolene vaguely recalls seeing him that one time.
Love at first sight.
So this is when Kenzo starts the fight in earnest by summoning a corporate desk toy and reading out the bearing that it gives him. His stand, or the stand that he accompanies, might be more correct, is this sort of carved jade-looking, ornamental-looking dragon, this green dragon that has a big head and then curls up into a tail that is itself a big pointing arrow that is suspended in a ring that is made of the same jade-like material.
Yeah.
And it's a free-floating, three-dimensional compass, essentially. And it talks.
Oh, I like this stand as far as it talking. FF is just getting closer and closer with their finger guns. And he's just narrating out loud like the bearing the compass is giving him. And is just asking random questions like, are you going to open your mouth? Are you going to do this? And this is when Foo Fighters fires off like 6 shots all in a row, and they all barely miss him somehow.
And so then he shoves his fist in their mouth and starts describing drowning, as if that matters to a plankton colony that loves nothing more than water. Yum, yum, give me more water.
Yum, yum.
Lungs, do not enter into this, bro. What are you doing?
We do get like an X-ray shot of how deep his hand is down her throat, though, which is bad.
It's very bad. It's
he damaged one of her cervical vertebrae.
Yeah, this is when we learn the exact mechanics of what he's really doing, which is like by striking this particular vertebra in this particular way, he's able to send a signal to the adrenal glands, which secrete into the respiratory mucosa to simulate the feeling of drowning.
Mm-hmm.
And just by taking those notes, I think I got a credit in a pre-med program somewhere, so that's nice.
Yay! Thanks, JoJo. We're learning.
But this causes... I understand causing the feeling of drowning, and that being debilitating. I mean, this is set in a post-waterboarding on the news world, even though it was written before it. Just a weird bit of prefiguring the future. I don't understand where the swelling comes from.
Like, after explaining all that, Foo Fighters drops to the ground, and her neck just begins swelling a lot. It looks bad. I don't like it.
Because this is a weird manipulation of, like, the autonomic nervous system and the adrenal system, the body of Foo Fighters cannot take it, even though the individual Foo Fighters should be unaffected, right? So they are trapped in a body that is a re-dying Atro.
Foo Fighters saves themselves by just taking their index finger and just puncturing a big hole in their neck, so all the water... all the water that has materialized somehow.
The water that they love. The water that they are desperate for. Yum, yum, gimme water.
Yeah, and it just squirts out her neck wound hole, and she's fine.
So they fire, and this time, the shot almost hits home. It grazes Kenzo's ankle. And then... What is...
Okay, so Kenzo, like, when she fires, Kenzo just barely realizes in time that, hey, she's up, she's fighting again. So he does, like, a big backflip.
Yes.
Like, after seeing a reading from his stand that he brings out very quickly to check something. And he goes in for, like, a flying kick to her head. But before he can hit her, she backs up and squeezes herself impossibly through the small openings between the bars in, like, the guardrail of the stairs in the center of this room.
Yes.
Just squeezes her body through that, and it looks cool.
That moment of confusion, my notes autocorrected rail into tail. And I was like, what? I don't remember this. What does that mean? What did I mean by that? So seeing that Foo Fighters is in trouble, Jolene is like, aha, there is a fight to be fought. I'm the one what does all the fighting. But Anasui is there to say, hey, stop it. Take a breather and watch. Dodging bullets is way more dangerous than drown punches. So we haven't really figured out what this guy's whole deal is. And you better just fucking cool it.
It's not until next episode that this happens, but Anasui's going to be just staying with Jolene, keeping an eye over her, and not helping in this fight. And eventually Jolene will also ask, why are you fucking helping?
He's got his reasons.
Yep.
But right now, one thing he wants to tell her is, as the great Speedwagon Pigeon once said, I knew I loved you before I met you.
And her reaction is just like, huh?
He also calls Kenzo at this point a lunatic who enjoys drinking his own piss. So he's not impressed. He knows all about this guy. He's heard rumors about him. He's like, oh yeah, this guy, he used to be in Gen Pop, but then he got sent to this place years ago. Nobody likes him because he's a creepy little freak.
This is when we're going to get a whole backstory for this guy.
Yeah, flashback time.
Flashback
So
time.
back in 1969, it was not very nice because he killed 34 people. He ran a Hollywood cult. Is this a Rocky's crack at the Manson family? Is that where we're going with this?
Yeah, it feels like an amalgamation of a couple different like big cults that happened in the past.
Are you thinking of the Heaven's Gate cult?
Yes.
Yeah.
Heaven's Gate. Yes, his Hollywood cult eventually started grabbing the attention of, the FBI and the police.
Perhaps because every member was also an elf?
They all look elven, yeah.
They even wear robes. Like, they're on a march to Rivendell. Where are they going?
And so Kenzo had all of the members of his cult go to a villa in Florida, which he then set on fire.
Yes, this was the plan. This was their mass suicide plan. They would all go to sleep. He would light the building on fire. Mass suicide by arson. But he survived.
He was in just the right place in the building where a part of the wall fell on him and partially blocked him from the flames. And so he was near death, but survived, and then got 240 years in prison.
And Anazui keeps talking about all these details, and then at one point says, "What's my point? I've digressed a bit."
Yeah.
The most self-aware Speedwagon in JoJo's history.
I forgot what I was talking about, but that was interesting. Anyways. Meanwhile, Kenzo, noticing that Foo Fighters, squeezed herself impossibly through some narrow bars, immediately asks her, "What are you? You're not human."
You don't even have blood. Anyway, I'm going to make you shed blood. Make up your mind. Which is it? What is going on? But through the way that stand users can see stands, or perhaps through survivor vision, he can see that what's moving through Foo Fighters' veins is not blood, but pond scum is their little constituent hive bits.
And so Kenzo brings out his stand again, held in both palms, and he just slowly starts slinking sideways, very calculated, moving to a very specific point. And that's when the dragon from the compass materializes behind Foo Fighters, but he's larger now in his own little magic bubble, and his tail is a much larger arrow pointing right at the back of Foo Fighters.
Yes. And it talks. It's got a voice. Hey, it's walking here. That's this dragon. So, and it is our mid-episode title card. This is Dragon's Dream, localized to Drake's Dream. This is named for not a band or any sort of musical thing at all. Well, sort of. It is named for the art studio of one Roger Dean, who painted all them fantasy album covers for Yes and Asia and other bands in that scene.
Yeah, and there is a song called Dragon's Dream. But yeah, it's definitely named after the Roger Dean's company.
And I suppose now I have to issue a correction to something I said in the last guest episode. Not every stand shares a voice actor with their user, because to underline the rift between Dragon's Dream and Kenzo that will be so central in the next episode and a half to come, they have different voice actors. So our dragon here, the English voice, was recently heard as the llama comedian in the dub of Odd Taxi, and Dorsch in Ranking of Kings, the big fella.
Oh, yeah.
While the dragon's Japanese voice is Brooke in One Piece, and just generally plays weird little guys, like Jaken in Inuyasha.
Okay, sure.
And he even plays weird little guys in his dubbing work of American-produced stuff, like, say, the works of Andy Serkis.
Oh, wow, okay.
So we've had both Frodo and Gollum in Stone Ocean so far, and also Neelix from Star Trek Voyager.
Oh, wow, okay. That's a fun one. Fucking Neelix.
So Foo Fighters has been trying to shoot this dragon like you're fighting a stand user. The stand appears before you. Shoot the dang stand, right? Doesn't work. It phases through all the time. And the dragon says, don't waste your energy. I'm an illusion. You should shoot the old man. He's coming right at you.
I love the personality of this stand because he like right after that he just goes like, "Hey, I have no right to interfere. I'm a neutral party."
So Kenzo goes high. He comes in with a high kick and blocks all of Foo Fighters' punches coming up from below him. After Foo Fighters themselves dodges that high kick, there's a lot of like actual, everybody was kung fu fight to hen in these 3 episodes today.
Yeah.
And Kenzo asks himself, how does The Walking Dead move so fast? I don't know, it seemed to go kind of slow. It finally ended. I don't think anyone noticed.
Yeah.
So Kenzo jumps up. He sticks his hand in the dragon's mouth.
Mm-hmm.
In effect, karate chopping his own goddamn arm off.
Yeah.
Because his shoulder melts apart, leaving a swirling black void in both ends of this dismemberment. Mm-hmm. And then the dragon shoots the arm out of its mouth like a rocket, but a guided rocket because it bends around, it curves right back to strike Foo Fighters in their back.
Yeah.
And they do a very cool block that looks like an arm stretch, where like one elbow high, one elbow low, and you like grab your hands together. Mm-hmm. That stretch is being used as a block to protect their spine. Mm-hmm. Even Jolene is impressed when she shouts, FF blocked it. That was so badass.
Yes, I forgot about that. I love a character in JoJo's going like, whoa, that was cool. Just
best friends.
Yeah. It's interesting because, these fights back to back are JoJo fights with an actual, like, decent amount of actual fight choreography, and they actually, like, use some of the animation budget on this stuff, too. So it looks pretty good a lot of the time.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
But yes, Kenzo lands, and then his arm rocket, just reattaches itself to him, and he's A-okay.
So now it is time for Dragon's Dream to sort of introduce themselves a little more directly in this sort of pause between exchanges. Mm-hmm. He tells us that the battle's result is already decided, but it's not like anyone can predict what happens.
Right.
Because I guess that would be cheating. You're not allowed to do that. But he is a neutral party. He is so neutral that he insists Kenzo share his secret because it's only fair.
Yeah.
Kenzo does not do this.
Yeah. I love that Dragon's Dream makes it clear that he doesn't like his stand user, too. At
all. Does not favor the man one bit.
But as this stuff is going on, a bunch of blood from Atro's body, from Foo Fighters, like splattered up against the wall behind her during the fight. And this attracts a bunch of rats.
Rats love blood. Everyone knows this.
Rats love blood. And so they scurry up the wall. And as they do that,
they climb over a switch, the same switch that Westwood hit a while ago. So all those cell doors that have been opened close again, and one of them squishes the head of one of these swollen corpses in such a way that it launches the glasses off the face of this man through the like squeezing pressure. It like pops out with incredible force.
Mm-hmm. And these glasses now like shattered and like one of the earpieces is broken off and it's all sharp and pointy, flies perfectly into Foo Fighter's face and like stabs itself through her cheek and out her mouth.
It looks fucking cool.
It looks really cool. Yeah.
Like, if they did this to themselves on purpose, it would be the most badass thing I've ever seen.
Yeah. Yeah.
But it also looks quite painful.
Oh, yeah.
And this is what clues Anasui into exactly what is happening. He has detected here the power of feng shui, geomancy for the East Asians, he says. Mm-hmm. And Jolene asks for an explanation. Anasui seems to love explaining things. They are perfect for each other. He must marry her.
So, yes, he goes on a like minute and a half long explanation of feng shui, using it to determine the good and bad areas of, your house or land, and like, hey, if your house is facing the wrong direction, it's going to bring bad fortune like sickness to the occupants. People would use feng shui to check out like what areas of a fortress would be the most advantageous to attack and all that stuff.
He starts with the root of it, just following the flow of energy, and behind him, the setting is replaced with this like stereotypical brushwork landscape. Like we're getting real Asian in our anime today. But basically, Kenzo here has the power known as feng shui assassination, because if you can attack from the precise correct direction, you cannot possibly lose.
Yeah, everyone has an unlucky direction.
And he turns to Jolene and says, I know, it makes no fucking sense to me either.
Yeah.
He says, after describing the clearest stand power in weeks.
Yeah.
There's a good spot chosen by fate. You attack from the good spot. That's it. That's so easy.
Yeah.
I don't understand the arm thing.
The arm thing is far more like, what the fuck is that?
Never explained.
Yeah, not really. The only part that is like there really is just that when something is put inside the dragon's bubble, it gets separated from the body that put it in, and then it will launch out and go towards the unlucky direction of the target or something like that. That's about all I know.
So Dragon's Dream continues to just be a real pal, real stand-up guy, and while required by its user to point out Foo Fighters' most unlucky point, the direction of a sure killing blow, they're like, hey, that's exactly what I'm doing right here. This spot right above your ear. You're gonna fucking die, so you should watch out for that. By the way, your lucky color's yellow.
Yeah.
Your lucky charm is a picture of a fish. Do with that as you will.
Yeah, I love the personality of the stand. I love the concept of a stand that hates its user and does as much as it's able to work against its own user. It's just really funny.
So Kenzo attacks not toward that spot above Foo Fighters' ear, but instead more of a frontal assault, and for his trouble, gets his hand bitten.
Yes.
That's not feng shui assassination. You're fucking up. You're not doing it right.
Mm-hmm.
But perhaps this is Kenzo's trick, because he follows that up with a kick to Foo Fighters that kicks them up so that their own hand now merges with the dragon bubble, and their arm gets torn off so that it will launch into their own weak point, because his whole thing seems to be riding the line between murder and suicide. It's with the cult, it's with Atro here.
Yep. It's just really funny when Foo Fighters' arm like gets put in that bubble, comes off, and then like shoots out and like boomerangs around and then reattaches to her, and she's just like, what the fuck just happened?
Yeah, it seems like nothing. Absolutely harmless. She, a little confused, but Kenzo is super, super jazzed about it.
Mm-hmm. And Dragon's Dream's just like, I told you there's an unlucky direction. I'm so sorry. It sucks for you. It's really bad.
You think they went with a voice that would make you think of like Mickey the Quarterman from Rocky? Because that's its role, right?
Yeah.
You got him. Come on, Rock.
Come on.
Survivor is still active. There's a lot of Rocky stuff happening today, actually.
Mm-hmm.
But yes, that rocket arm did not do nothing when it was launched and then reattached. No, it knocked some flies from off of a corpse, and those flies decided to, fly up toward the ceiling, which attracted a bird. You see, and that bird came through the holes in the ceiling caused by the meteor strikes, obviously, and then gets sucked up into a vent fan, which was itself damaged by the meteor strike. So with this additional bit of gum in the works, it shakes itself loose. A whole lot of like mounting hardware shakes off of it, including this L-shaped metal brace, which falls and starts to spin as it falls. It spins in such a way that it generates boomerangical lift. And flies directly toward the unlucky spot above Foo Fighters' ear and slices open their head like a can of beans. The end.
The end.
Be continued.
To be continued. Ooh. It's a lot.
It's a lot. Oh, episode 18. Enter the Foo Fighters. There's a counterattack implied in the title. So our recap starts with Foo Fighters grabbing Anasui and recruiting him to the team. Mm-hmm. Where in the recap she calls him Crisscross. Was that a line in the original?
It was.
Okay. Why does she call him Crisscross?
I think the crisscrossing patterns of the fishnets on him.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Maybe he's going to jump. I don't know. But the rest of the recap is just highlights of the fight so far. Like, here's Dragon's Dream and what it does. Here's why Foo Fighters' head looks like that. And now Foo Fighters is left for dead as the dragon begins to point at Jolene, who says, this is bad.
Yeah. And Anasui's like trying to hold her back, like, don't try and help Foo Fighters because, like, you're going to die next. Like, look, the dragon's pointing right at you. This sucks.
And Jolene says, not so fast. When I said this is bad, I wasn't talking about the giant hole in Foo Fighters' head. That's not a problem at all. In fact, I find the fact that they are bleeding a relief. The problem, what's wrong, is that there isn't nearly enough blood. They're low on fluids.
She needs a drink. We got to get her a larg gulp.
So we cut back to Foo Fighters directly, where it's taking all of their strength, all of their resolve to keep their head straight and not dump all their juice out. Mm-hmm. And now I must ask, is Foo Fighters inspired by the Kappa? Is that where the haircut comes from?
Oh my God. I wonder.
Right? Is Foo Fighters a Kappa? Is Foo Fighters a Kappa?
I'm Googling just Foo Fighters JoJo Kappa to see anyone else's thought of this. So far, it seems like no. But I think it's a good theory.
I'm a revolutionary. I'm a visionary.
Yeah. As, we go to the OP, and when we're out of that, Kenzo is making his way towards Jolene now. And then Foo Fighters is able to get enough strength to fire several rounds at Kenzo from behind, where he is caught off guard. And as he tries to bring out Dragon's Dream to recheck his own lucky direction and stuff, he gets like 3 or 4 bullets to the arms and legs. And
I love his reaction to this, because like this episode is really the one where Kenzo gets a character and I start to enjoy him.
Yeah.
And I think the first moment of that is when he gets shot and just starts like shouting about, I knew better than that. I am better than that.
Yes.
He's a prideful little Yoda man.
Mm-hmm. Like, he's not pissed off that he's wounded. He's pissed off that he got wounded. He let himself do that.
So Foo Fighters takes a moment to like address the situation and recognizes a need for 2 things. 1, a mirror to confuse Kenzo, and 2, water with which to create a mirror to confuse Kenzo.
And then this is when Kenzo starts talking about his cult, all 30,000 of his followers.
And how life is hard on the inside for a cult leader, because people don't like you very much.
Yeah.
Turns out you convince 34 people to set themselves on fire, or let you set them on fire. That's frowned upon, even in prison, of all places. And he wants respect. He demands respect because he's a nasty little pea goblin, and that's the way the world ought to work. And
he like starts crying while talking about how he deserves to be on top. and how he used to be at the very top.
So he goes for another kick, and Foo Fighters backflips away from it. Rad, kick-ass, nice, and runs toward a fire hose that Jolene has pointed out to them. The source of our salvation, this fire hose, with which Westwood was giving everyone their showers. It all fits together. It's a neat little puzzle box.
It's all getting set up and reused. It's nice.
So this is when Jolene calls out Anasui for just standing there and commentating, unaware of the noble tradition of the Speedwagon. This is a recognized role, and it should be respected.
Yeah. And Anasui just says, hey, my agreement with Foo Fighters that I swore to was to protect you. I never said anything about fighting.
Yeah, I never said anything about protecting them.
Yeah.
I will help if they die. I'll help if someone comes and attacks you while they're fighting over there. That's my job. Fighting this little man is not my job.
Foo Fighters reaches the fire hose, which is all, it's just in a big pile, kind of kinked up on itself. And she starts grabbing the hose and pulling it. And this is when we see that Dragon's Dream is hiding in the pile of kinked up fire hose. And he's just I wouldn't do that if I were you. This is bad.
Don't worry about the hose. Worry about the nasty direction that I pointed out at you. But something that I think, I'm torn on whether it matters or not. This hose is yellow.
Yeah.
In the long run, things that happen with this hose lead to Foo Fighters' victory.
Yeah.
But also, whenever something matters, it gets said right out loud in dialogue. So I don't know how much to wait to put on this hose being yellow.
Yeah.
But as soon as I notice the hose is yellow, I'm like, oh, is there going to be a picture of a fish?
Yeah. So, Foo Fighters is looking for the actual faucet the hose is attached to, which is kind of buried underneath everything. And this is when Kenzo comes up from behind with a big flying kick, and Foo Fighters deliberately sticks both of her arms into the dragon orb. And so everyone's just
there's now just this armless figure in the middle of this fight. Everyone's very confused about what that could possibly do. They're going to fire out directly at the bad zone. They know this, but the reason they did that was to get slim enough to be able to squeeze inside the hose.
Yep.
To traverse the hose back to the source, back to the valve in order to get to the water. While Kenzo's kick misses, obviously, because they dodged inside a hose somehow, and instead his kick gets tied up in that hose, which is where I'm really thinking, he's tied up in a yellow hose. This is good feng shui. He's fucked.
Yeah.
Not directly, no.
Yeah.
So at the moment where we realize where Foo Fighters is, it is because their arms slam into their face.
Yep.
Launching them far, far away from the valve, down into that central stairway that leads down into the execution room. That's where it goes all this time.
And this is when Anasui says, that's down there is where the execution is. Remember, it's Florida. They love the death penalty here. He straight up just says, remember, this is Florida.
I hope he never fights. I hope he just does this for every fight.
Yeah.
We're so used to very invested, very emotional speedwagons. I like one that's just kind of flat and catty, you know?
Yeah, that's absolutely what Anasui is.
So, of course, I had to check the facts on this one. Anasui says that this facility executes about 3 people per year. In fact, that's a high end of average for Florida as a whole. However, 2012 is one of those years where they executed 3 prisoners, 2 of whom were serial killers for that extra JoJo's juice, I guess.
Yep.
However, this is a facility that uses the chair, as we will see, whereas Florida switched entirely to lethal injection in 1999.
Okay.
Anasui goes on to describe the chair as giving people 2,800 volts. The state electrocution protocol specifically calls for 2300 volts, so I guess Green Dolphin overclocks old Sparky.
Yeah. I mean, you saw how Westwood was. He fucking hates everyone here. He would overclock the chair.
So Foo Fighters lands in the chair itself, while the fire hose that was also knocked down just flops around like fucking Nobby Boy, as the nozzle manages to turn the key and start a 90-second countdown.
Yeah. And when Foo Fighters realizes, oh shit, I'm in the chair, she tries to get up and oops, one of the like belts or whatever catches on the like suspenders on her outfit, and she falls back into the chair. She gets up again, and like it just tons of unfortunate, unlucky things happen that keep forcing her back into the chair. Yeah.
The second time she stands up, her ankle has gotten caught in the ankle loop somehow. So Kenzo gloats his way down the stairs. Foo Fighters rushes towards him, firing, shoots his necklace off, and as they run past him, they step on one of the beads that has fallen off that necklace that I mentioned so long ago. Slips and falls backwards, Scooby-Doo style, straight into the electric chair. And there are now 10 seconds left on the clock.
And like when she falls into the chair this time, like the little apparatus you put on your head just like descends and just like locks in place on her head.
So Dragon's Dream is here with one last bit of advice. Hey, just embrace death, you know?
Yeah.
Fate is what it is. You gotta, you just go out with a smile on your face. Think of the good times, I guess.
Yeah. So Foo Fighters gets up one more time, trying to punch him, and Kenzo just like dodges the punch, punches her arm a whole bunch, and like knocks her back into the chair. Which, by the way, listening to the English dub, I love the guy that does the old man voice for Kenzo and like all the other old men he does. He's not good at battle cries though.
No, but Foo Fighters' voice is so good at screaming.
Oh,
I
yeah.
love this scene so much.
Yeah.
They do an incredible job.
But when Kenzo does like the rapid, series of blows to Foo Fighters' arm, he just goes, "Hey yeah, hey yeah, I'm punching you, hey yeah," and it's just like really funny to me.
Yeah. But yeah, they've been knocked into the chair one last time. The cap comes down onto their sliced open head. The clock hits 0, and like every moment you're waiting for the trick to be revealed. For like, the clock hits 0, but the zap doesn't come. No. The zap comes, and there's like a full like impact frame of just the electrocution happening. And then we cut to a Foo Fighters title card, which is different art from the first one.
Yeah.
Where before it was all 3 forms of Foo Fighters seen in that initial episode. In this one, it's the tall head Foo Fighters that fought Jolene in the barn, and just the disembodied wrist and hand and finger gun of current Foo Fighters.
Yeah. So Foo Fighters, yes, is getting electrocuted. We get a close up where one of her eyeballs is bulging out. Her skin is like bubbling over. Blood is shooting all out of her face. She's getting properly electrocuted.
And Kenzo's loving it because this means killing this stranger who was not his assigned target means that he can finally rebuild his cult.
Yeah.
Absolute, like, unassailable mastery of feng shui assassination. The most difficult feng shui technique means that with his honed practice and with the aid of Dragon's Dream, he can achieve any goal, including being the world's greatest guru. He compares himself. He says he will be even greater than Shakyamuni, which is one of the names of the Buddha. It translates to Sage of the Shakyas.
Okay. As Kenzo is celebrating this, Dragon's Dreams goes like, "Hey man, I'm just a neutral party. I don't really care about all that. But by the way, Foo Fighters did get water, and she tricked you. JoJo's trick."
Yeah. Dragon's Dream relishes telling this old man he hates just how he fucked up.
Yeah.
Including, quote, It appears that FF can create mirrors using sweat.
Yeah.
Sure, why not?
Why not?
This wrinkly, creaky, hiya little fella is so old that all of this backflip, red hot kick ass kung fu fighting has made him very, very sweaty. He's worked up quite a perspiration, and while running past him with that last exchange before slipping on the necklace, Foo Fighters stole about half a cup of sweat off this man.
Disgusting.
Disgusting. And used it not to replenish themselves, no, to form a mirror hanging in the air, which threw off Kenzo's visual read of Dragon's Dream's bearings so that his attacks were not perfectly aimed. In fact, I don't know how he didn't realize it at the time, but Foo Fighters grabbed his wrist so that he was also electrocuted to death.
Yeah.
And they shout while he is zapped, "Take this and choke on it." And it's so good. It's so good.
And then
I love these foul, angry women.
They're all lovely. Yeah, they're a whole lot of fun. And then the camera pans up as we see the light from the electricity die down, and Anasui just goes "Well, it's over. What's gonna happen next?"
So yeah, the Foo Fighters' other hand reaches and grabs Kenzo by the throat while his eyes start to smoke.
Yeah.
It's fucking rad. While Anasui's like, "Okay, where that bone at though? Next."
We need that bone.
And Jolene's next thing is to fling herself down the stairs.
She wants to save Foo Fighters, and God, the way she flings herself down is the worst way to do it.
She lands on her neck 4 times, bouncing.
You hear her hit the railing and ricochet off it, and it's just this really the sound of the metal ringing sounds like when somebody eats shit really bad on a fucked up skateboard trick, and you're just oh God, did that person just die? Did they just get paralyzed? It's that bad sounding.
And as she lands, she's somehow still conscious. Remember, 3-4 meteors went through her body today.
Yeah, she's a tough lady.
She notices the Dragon's Dream is still out and pointing at shit, which means Kenzo is still alive, which he confirms by opening his eyes and going
And so Jolene decides, I'm ending this shit right now. And so she has a whole bunch of thread come out of her fingertip, and you see her
through this whole exchange, her theme is playing, and I wish I could remember if it's also playing while she's apparently committing suicide going down these stairs.
I forget.
Because it's so funny. So yeah, she's woven this spear tip or she made a plumb bob, basically a very sharp plumb bob out of her string on a line and just chucks it at this husk of a Grota.
Yeah, and as she throws it, he's able to dodge it. He's got his lucky direction still. And he's all charred and mummified looking. His eyes are all fucked up, and he's just drooling, and he's got tears running down his face and all this. And Anasui is coming down the stairs, in no
like a normal human man,
in no rush. Yep,
he's taking the stairs, the standard method.
Jolene just really wants to know if Foo Fighters is still alive, is still safe. She determines yes, Foo Fighters might still be alive because the mirror she made out of the water, she had to put a bunch of her plankton in there to do it. And so therefore there's still some Foo Fighter plankton in that little puddle of sweat on the ground, which she grabs with her thread and then just kind of flicks all over Foo Fighters desiccated corpse to start reviving her,
to repopulate the colony inside the Atro shell.
Yeah.
While Kenzo runs at Jolene, leaps, says 4 sentences while suspended in midair.
Oh my God, it's so funny. My attack is imminent, woman.
Meanwhile, Stonefree is going into the dragon.
What?
But Kenzo has finally come down from the arc of his jump, sticks his foot in Jolene's mouth, diseased. But instead of Jolene swelling up with psychosomatic drowning water, Kenzo just starts rising up like a balloon that a child let go and donks his head on the stairway above for some reason.
When I knew what was going to happen ahead of time, I was just like, oh, yep, he's doing that because of this. But if you're watching this and you don't know, it's just like, what the fuck is happening right now? And it takes a little while before we get the explanation, so you're just...
That's also Kenzo's reaction. He's very confused. He's
Yeah.
trying to figure out what's going on. He asks his stand, and the dragon's like, I don't know. Why would I know?
You definitely kicked her in the mouth with your disgusting old man foot. I don't know. What do you want from me?
And he just starts hopping around like a weird circus act, and everyone is very confused.
Yeah.
See, what happened was, Diver Down was inside Jolene when Kenzo kicked down her throat and punched up from inside the throat to turn Kenzo's legs into coiled springs.
So, like, at this point, we're seeing, honestly, stand powers in action without entirely knowing what Diver Down can do.
It can do this, and when we see the x-ray of what exactly this is, I don't want to mess with him.
This is another thing that made me yell when I saw it. Yeah, nightmare. Diver Down, like, on top of being able to just, like, hide in stuff or, like, have its attacks, like, hide in objects and come out later. It can do, like, the Josuke thing of, like, when it's inside stuff, it can rearrange shit. So, yeah, Diver Down rearranged the musculature and bones inside Kenzo's legs to, quote, make his legs into functional springs.
And because in all this time, Survivor is still alive and still affecting people, the incredible pain that would come with that is not being felt.
So instead, Kenzo is just screaming from sheer terror as he falls down and he can't stop bouncing 12 feet into the air because his legs are just the perfect biological springs.
And the fight kind of just ends. Like, everyone just gets up and leaves.
Like, God, the bit where he's, like, clinging to the side of a doorway and just screaming because his legs are all fucked up looking, and
It's so fucked up. When the pants come down and it's revealed, it's so gross.
Like, his legs do a zigzag now. They don't go straight down. At the end of every zig or zag, there are bones just sticking out of the skin. And he falls down, and his legs compress when he lands. And then you get an X-ray shot of this, and it's just a pile of bones inside his legs. Just a fucked up pile of bones. And he just
There's no reason this fight has to stop. They just don't want to do it anymore. They all just want to go home.
Yeah.
The fight technically ends because Kenzo is so disoriented and so unable to, like, do his very kick-based fighting style with his new legs that he just wanders away screaming.
Oh, he lands
in shock.
He lands in a bucket. He lands.
That's right.
He's
Of
just a
course.
pile of screaming old man flesh in a bucket, and Dragon's Dream just like, hey, it sucks for you, old man. And then that's it. He just lives in a bucket now. He's a bucket man that drinks piss, and the bucket tips over and then rolls away out of frame.
So now Jolene is left, having been saved because Anazui kept his promise. As soon as someone attacked Jolene, he was there to save her. Left to, like, think about this mysterious, strange man for the first time. As she gazes at him, and he's like, "Hey, keep looking at me with those pretty eyes. Don't you ever stop." And she's like, Anyway, back upstairs is the Bone Boy. The Bone Boy is still there.
Yeah, with a big tattoo on his shoulder that I think is supposed to imply that he's got a swastika there, but they just changed it up a bit so it isn't a swastika, maybe. This might be a little white supremacist Bone Boy. The worst kind.
Among the worst Bone Boys you can have.
Yeah.
So then the credits roll. We get our lovely little song from Duffy. Mm-hmm. But yet again, there's a post-credit scene. I guess there's two post-credit scenes. The first is just really more like dotting the I's, cross the T's, busy work in the execution room. People are dusting themselves off, and Foo Fighters is recovered enough to gooch all up into Jolene's wounds.
Yeah.
But the important stuff is at the Speedwagon Foundation. Where Jotaro Kujo is out of his casket tube and now able to support his own weight with his stand disc returned to him. Mm-hmm. And he's sitting up, he's holding his outstretched arms, and he is attached to some manner of machinery.
I really want to know what these are for. So, like, little cords with, like, not like electrodes, but like little suction cups.
Yeah.
And they're like...
They are the size and profile of menstrual cups.
God, they are. Yeah, this is one of those like moon cups or whatever.
And they are all attached to cables that run into this, inscrutable medical device, but attached to points all over Jotaro's skin. Except for one, it's two little cups that are connected to one another by a cable, and each one is on a different part of that, like, space between shoulder and neck, the divot around your collarbone. What are those two doing? They're total orphans.
There's another set just like that on the side of his face, like on his cheek and jawline. What are those doing? And he's got one extra large, like, really thick cable that's, like, attached to his belly button. It's like an industrial size power cable or something.
Well, yeah, the belly button's where the power goes.
Yeah. Yeah.
Everyone knows this.
Yeah.
And he's being watched by two Speedwagon Foundation chemotherapy researchers, I have to assume, in spacesuits.
Yeah. They almost look like stand-inspired spacesuits or something, because they're just basically just white suits, but like the sides of the abdomen and like the inside of the thigh are like this green with black stripes on them.
Yeah, the like placement and ridging of those highlight panels is common to a lot of stands. Like, I don't know, maybe they just really liked White Album and were like, we got to make our hazmat suits look like that guy. Hell yeah.
Yeah. And also next to Jotaro, we don't see what's in them, but he has two picture frames next to him.
Yeah.
I'm assuming those are like family photos, and then maybe like the picture taken in Egypt with all of his buds or something, but you don't get to see what's in them.
It's probably the Egypt buds and a fish.
Yeah, it's that starfish he discovered. The two most important things in his life.
This is when my life really began, when I discovered a starfish.
Yeah.
Didn't you have a 4-year-old at home? Shut up. I like her now. Get off my back.
Now that I know she can punch real good, yeah. I just thought she stole a car or something. That's a bad kid.
The only way any child of mine will go to prison is if they do it themselves on purpose. If they walk into prison and say, "Put me behind bars." That's the right and honorable way to go to jail.
But yeah, that's the end of today's 3 episodes.
That's it. That's man. This is some of the grossest shit.
Yeah,
some of the grossest shit.
Like part 5 had, up to this point at least, a much larger volume of body horror, I think. But these 3 episodes in a row are fucked up.
Yeah, this is where it's distilled. This is the concentrate right here.
Yeah. God, it's such a tight race for which thing is the absolute worst. It might be the X-ray pile of spring bones.
I was gonna say the toenail shit.
The toenail shit's maybe, yeah. Actually, you know what? The toenail shit's worse because that can actually happen.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a nightmare. Like the going through the eardrum thing is pretty damn bad too, but the toenail thing is so visceral. Like, Jesus.
I need to start a band just so I can have the like close up of Foo Fighters with their face pierced through the lip and cheek as an album cover. That looks so fucking cool.
Mm-hmm.
But this stretch really solidifies like who Jolene is in the pantheon, right? Because like Jolene is easy to call the girl one. I did it myself in episode 1 of Stone Ocean. Yes.
Yeah.
But like, if you were to give all of them a descriptor that is really like more personality based, right? You got the gentleman one, the goofy one, the silent one. Jolene is the determined one. Yep. Absolutely.
Yep.
Unflappable. As long as she's not dead, she's going to keep getting closer to dead until you die.
Yeah.
What's the quickest way to help my friend? Let's dive headfirst 4 stories down.
Yeah. God. And this stretch of 3 episodes just has so many really good Jolene moments, and her just like just the attitude she's got, like the whole, taking a tour of all the ways to say fuck you in the world to a guy. And that's just the opening to a fight. Like the game set and match thing after she hits a dude in the face with a flaming rocket boot. Like, yeah.
But also, I mean, this is a set of episodes that is mostly by volume about Foo Fighters.
Oh, yeah. Yep.
And seeing them in a fight, seeing them just not dominate, but also just survive and be about as willing as Jolene to like take damage to save time.
Yeah. And it's different with Foo Fighters too, because she has like technically more survivability because she can just regenerate shit as long as she's got water and like at least one pond scum guy left alive. So like the ways she's willing to take damage to save time are pretty interesting. Also, just having the gimmick of, slipping through those bars or chopping your arms off on purpose to slip into a fire hose. It's all good shit.
And like while Jolene is fighting to like save her dad, she says it like all the time.
Yeah.
Like Foo Fighters is really fighting to assert their personhood. That they are an intelligent creature that is as much a person as any human being. And that really comes out in this fight. And also like Brittany Lauda's fucking screams and exertions.
She's so good.
So good. Like, I'm sure they were just as good in that initial appearance, but like the vocal filter of Foo Fighters was doing a lot of the work and masking a lot of the actual voice. But this fight, Jesus Christ.
Yeah,
I'm
so
going to be going back in the editing and splicing in a lot of my favorite moments just because I want to hear them again. Like when they say that line, grabbing Kenzo and sending the volts through him too. Oh my God, it's so good.
And choke on it.
Yeah, I think a lot of the dubbing choices for part 6 have been really fucking good, but especially all the ladies. They're just great. It's crazy to already be like in the middle of part 6.
This is the closest to exactly halfway as we're going to get.
Yeah.
Next week will be over halfway, in fact, when we talk about episodes 19 through 21, Birth of the Green, FF the Witness, and Awaken!
All caps. Awaken!
That's how you pronounce things in all caps.
Yeah. Oh man, Birth of the Green. There's some real whack shit coming up soon with Birth of the Green and coming up. Yeah, I'm excited for it. It's just part 5 might be one of the parts that's like the most consistently just like what the fuck, like crazy. But part 6, when it wants to, I think goes higher than part 5.
Part 5, obviously very bizarre, as they all are, but like really front loaded. Like, no, weird shit is gonna happen here. It's gonna follow a logic that you will learn to read, but it's gonna be fucking strange. Like, this banana's a gun. You're dead now. Like,
Yeah.
Let me just make you spit out this guy's eyeball. Sure. All right. But part 6 is definitely gets to that point later. You know?
Yeah.
I feel like part 6, at least on some fronts, was really built to be introductory. The way that like stands are introduced a little more slowly, and it starts with a very like familiar betrayal of like, my lawyer lied about who he was really working for. That's normal crime fiction. Then after a bit you get into the room I was in melted and a dude karate chopped my dad until CDs came out of his head.
Yeah.
That would have been episode 1 in part 5. Like a different approach.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, I'm excited for these next 3 episodes and the rest of this part, honestly. There's some crazy shit coming up.
So yeah, come back to us next week for, again, episodes 19 through 21, Birth of the Green, FF the Witness, and Awaken!
Awaken! To be continued.
McQueen.